Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you are all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and a very interesting topic which has already been raised these last several days about LAN environment, right? We've now been on this online environment for what, 9 odd months. In April, pretty sure last year, that was when the league restarted in this online environment, which we are now sticking into for the upcoming season, at least for the near future. Scump has been talking about, look, we want LANs back ASAP, but some other, well, interesting commentators in the community, the likes of Crowder, for example, over at FaZe, saying, look, LAN doesn't really make that much difference, especially with this new situation where most players are playing from the same booth. We just need to focus up, and well, if online stays as it is, it really doesn't make too much difference to these tournament results. But Scump thinks it certainly does make a massive difference to what might happen to the results if we go back to a LAN environment when that is indeed possible. Intrigued to your perspective in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, this from Adam Assault. We talked a few days about the well, pros potentially wanting the XM4 gone at some point. Assault says, look, the XM4 gotta go. That's a big question mark, right? Especially around the fact that, okay, the XM4 looking pretty damn good in scrims at the moment, but I'm still seeing a lot of Krigs, right? There was some arguments again. Maybe we have like one XM4 is allowed per team. I think that certainly we don't want to just get rid of another weapon. I think Krig, AK-74U meta would not be fun to watch or to play, to be honest. I think the XM4 has a nice place in the weapon meta at the current time, but at the same time, maybe it is too strong in certain situations. But honestly, on most maps, there are still a lot of Krigs being used, so maybe you just restrict one XM4 per team, per map, or something like that. Who really knows? But if that's what has to be done to keep the XM4 in the game, and the pros are just going to GA it because they think it's super good on 60 Hz, I imagine there's also the discussion about, okay, if we were on LAN, the XM4 would be super good, because the pros tend to see some differences between which weapons are so good online as to in a LAN environment, with the connection being significantly better. But this season, right, you've got to say, most players are in pretty much the same location. Of course, it's not a LAN environment perfectly, but most of the matches are going to be played from Texas to Texas, right? Okay, well, let's say we've got OpTic Chicago versus the Dallas Empire. They're all going to be pretty much in the same facility, relatively close to each other in Texas, playing on a Texas host. So their ping might be 30, 40, something in that ballpark, as opposed to the 5 ping or whatever that you get in the LAN environment. But all things considered, it might not be too much different to what we've seen, especially in, I think, Modern Warfare. There was certainly some server issues. This time around, it maybe shouldn't be too bad. And also, you've got to say that a team like the Dallas Empire, right, that's the big question mark, right? That's the one that Scump always talks about, saying that, okay, like if they were on LAN, they would get bodied or whatever, because the Chicago Huntsmen beat them twice last season when it was on LAN, then it went to online, and Dallas, well, got the better of them, I think, one time, and of course, won the World Championship, and there was all that discussion about, okay, are they just onliners? At the same time, when you are talking about the Dallas Empire from last year, they did actually win the last LAN event that we've actually had. I think it was the Los Angeles home series, the very last LAN event before everything went into this online environment that we have. They actually did win that, right? So you've got to say, okay, maybe the Dallas Empire weren't just onliners, they probably were going to improve over time anyway, but maybe the online arena definitely helped them improve at a quicker pace, because if you're on LAN, not only have you got the better connection, which maybe helps teams that have disadvantages in the online arena, but you've also got fans there, right? In theory, you've got pressure on the line. That's a high pressure match. We saw it happen with Shotzzy that opening weekend. He had like a 0.6 in one of the dominations. People were saying, okay, the pressure got to him, this guy, like, he can't compete. I think Nameless had to defend a point on one of the CDL shows that, okay, he's like a bust, he's not going to work out for the Dallas Empire. Of course, that did not prove to be the case over the course of things. There's certainly still that discussion there. Okay, if it was on LAN, would these guys have been able to compete with the pressure have got to them a little bit more than it did with veteran players? Tend to prefer, of course, a LAN environment. So you've got guys like Awakening, you've got these new guys into the scene that haven't even played a LAN tournament with their pro team. If it goes back to LAN, I'm sure a lot of the veteran players are being like, okay, these guys are going to get exposed in a LAN environment. In reality, how much does it really matter? That's an interesting question. Tommy says the first European ever to get a ring, so Hastro sorted him out a ring for the World Championship victory, given his contribution to their team in the early part. And as Clay says, he'll to well put my Modern Warfare Champs ring if I even had one. So Clay hasn't even got his one yet. That's pretty unfortunate to see. And speaking of the Dallas Empire, I thought I'd mention this real quick. Crim says, I'm going to rage. 4-hour-long, high-priced professional photo shoot produced only 3 photos of me for the entire player picks for the entire season. These are my options. Left M1A1 main battle tag, and well, the right one is also equally hilarious. And Saints tweets this out as well. Just got a new Crimsix bobblehead. I thought this was pretty funny. And well, you've got this one as well. I don't know who made this. This was the 3rd picture. I am demanding a reshoot. So yeah, honestly, just pure entertainment stuff. I thought, given we were talking about the Dallas Empire, it was good to mention right here. But a few days ago, there was a discussion on the OpTic podcast number 10. Scump was talking about how, like, okay, we need LANs back ASAP. I think he's talked about this a couple of times now. Like, whenever it's possible, we need to get back to LAN. It is an interesting question, given that we talked about the possibility of a bubble, right, that would have allowed us to play on LAN. But a lot of the players, including Scump, and for good reason, were like, look, I'm not really willing to do a bubble, we'll just take this online environment that we have, given, okay, like I have a family, I have a girlfriend, I have a cat, like I live in a house or whatever, it'd be so much effort for all the players to come to a bubble facility, it would also cost a ridiculous amount of money to make it work, and the liability on Activision's side as well, like if something goes wrong, if some exposure happens one way or another, it could be a bit of a legal disaster. So for good reason, they've probably decided, okay, that's not the direction we want to go down, but at the same time, we'd hope in the near future, relative near future, we get back to a LAN environment. I don't know whether that's going to be with spectators or not, and that's also a question you could ask, right? If the question is, okay, LAN, typically, that's a, well, high-pressure environment. If, if Dallas Empire was sitting on the other side of the stage to OpTic Chicago, but there's no crowd there to say, okay, to be cheering OpTic Chicago and whatever, and they're not exactly putting the pressure on, how much does LAN really make a difference in that situation? It's probably in those high-pressure matches where the players with the real ice do come out to shine when there is a crowd on the line, and who knows when that's going to happen, right? My imagination is, let's say a few months down the line, 3rd, 4th, 5th major of the season, something like that, we do get back to a LAN environment for the major. My expectation is that the home series will just be run online pretty much the entire season, but the major events that are seeded by the home series, we'll have a look at the schedule for the season here in just a second, but I imagine that the majors could be done on LAN at some point, but if that is the case, they probably will start without potentially a crowd in attendance. So Scump definitely thinks this is the way to go, but Crowder said on the Hardpoints podcast, he really doesn't think, at least for the FaZe guys, it makes too much of a difference.
Anyway, are you guys excited for the league?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Now having seen what you saw, has your opinion on who's the number one contender or the number one rival changed at all? Or so you guys know who's gonna be the who's who?
Yeah, I mean, us and Dallas are probably the best two teams, but
I can't wait to play on LAN though.
You think LAN is
same.
Yeah.
You think is that big of a difference?
Yes.
Oh yeah, the atmosphere is so different.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
not even the
obviously,
atmosphere, paying
fans
everything.
aside. Huh?
Paying everything.
Well, like
paying
the match we played
atmosphere.
against 100T, the connection was probably the best connection I've ever played on in a match. I don't know about you.
It was pretty good.
That's really good.
Yeah, well, they're all here too.
Yeah, it was
Pretty
like
solid.
everyone was in Texas. It was Texas server. It's like that's the closest we could get to a LAN match.
But yeah, if we were to play like Dallas and it's a Texas versus, like Atlanta battle, I really don't think the connection there would really make that much of an
What would
issue.
that server even be? Would you go to like
Probably.
Ohio? Would that?
If you're thinking fair, like probably like, yeah, something like that. But I mean, it might end up on like a Texas, as weird as that is.
Right? Or Chicago, sorry.
Yeah, maybe Chicago. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know how the
Okay.
servers would really work, but regardless, it wouldn't be enough, in my opinion, where the better team would probably still end up winning just off of teamwork and communication and so much more.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is usually how it goes. I mean, a lot of the times the results online, man, are really not that much different than LAN. I know, of course, you have your outliers, and of course, there's going to be situations here and there, but a lot of the times the team is just better.
Well, and
that's just
I
how it goes.
think a fair take of it, like,
So Scump is very keen to get back to LAN, of course, totally understandable, and again, one of the best LAN players in Call of Duty history. The question is, I suppose, how soon can we realistically expect to get back to a LAN environment, right? We now sit here pretty much the end of January, who knows, like middle of the summer. I mean, this season lasts until August, technically, for the World Championship. The question was last season, could they have done a bubble? Could they have done something for last year's World Championship to have taken place in a LAN environment? Maybe that's possible. It didn't happen in the end. The largest prize pool in Call of Duty history, $4.6 million, was taking place online. So I definitely think for the World Championship this year, we've got to be back on LAN. I don't think there's any excuses really for it not to happen this time around. But for the majors, the latter half of the season, I definitely think these first couple of months, I think February, March, certainly are probably going to take place online pretty much the entirety. Everything is probably going to be done online. And it's worked pretty well. It's improved a lot the production quality that the CDL has been able to deliver these last several months. However, we get to major number 3, we get to stage number 4 of the season, for example, we're talking about like May, June time. Surely at that point it must be possible to make something work with or without fans, maybe even with a few fans in attendance, maybe with just media in attendance or something like that. If the correct protocols are in place, I'm sure the players want it. It's not a matter of Crowler saying, okay, we don't want LANs back. I guess he's just saying, look, realistically, you've got to have the mindset of it doesn't actually make too much difference, and maybe it doesn't actually make too much difference. You could argue the results on LAN and online are relatively similar, all things considered. Most teams aren't completely gods online and then, well, terrible on LAN most of the time at the very least. So I think the CDL should be able to make something work to get these guys back to a LAN environment at some point in the future. But how long will it take? I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Thought I'd mention this as well, of course, then. So this is the season schedule. So stage 1 finishes pretty much March the 1st. So we've got, okay, stage 1 goes through pretty much February. Then we've got March, then we've got April, then we've got May, June, then July. So by the end of July, you'd imagine we'd be able to have something working here, right? If there's no fans or if there's whatever, you'd think at some point we can get back to a LAN environment, which hopefully with everything rolling out as it seems to be right now, we certainly seem to have some light at the end of the tunnel, to the point where maybe by stage 3, stage 4, it's possible to get back to LAN. Not exactly sure what the CDL's plans are. As I said, the whole bubble situation for Activision Blizzard is a bit of a question mark, right, given the fact that the liability that they potentially have on the line if something goes wrong. I think they're going to be very hesitant to go down this route, but I'm sure the players want it. Certainly Scump is looking forward to it ASAP, and that means probably the team owners are pushing it with Activision as hard as they possibly can to get back to this point in the nearest future that is humanly possible. Just to finish off the video then, a couple of weeks from now, February the 11th, the season starts for real. This is the opening weekend schedule, as you can see right here. So opening weekend, February 11th through to the 14th. First matchup is LA Thieves versus Rokkr. So there's 2 matches Thursday and Friday, 3 matches on Saturday and Sunday. If you guys aren't fully familiar with the schedule as it stands right now, well, these are the times, as you can see. Big matches the first week, the standout one really being FaZe versus OpTic to finish off the job on that, Sunday, 14th of February, 6 PM Eastern time. So yeah, certainly tune into that one and stay tuned for the channel for all the updates that are going to happen over the coming weeks. Just to finish off with this, I thought was pretty entertaining. Silly tweets out this new profile picture. We looked at all those graphics that came out from the CDL, and Crimsix not particularly happy with those images. TJHaLy says, you still got time to delete, bro. I believe he was a substitute last season for the Minnesota Rokkr. Well, Silly was on last season, and Silly says, you get some taken this year. Absolutely roasting him, of course, because, well, no longer a Pro League player, I suppose. Intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. When do you realistically think we can get back to a LAN environment? How much does it actually matter at the end of the day? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm that you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you very much as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.